Baby, won't you be my girl? Well, I've been waiting, anticipating, feel my foolish heart palpitating. Me and you becoming two, that's a reason for celebrating. Say, baby, won't you be my girl? Won't you? Won't you be my girl? I said, baby, won't you be my girl?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Covenant College Theatre. Tonight we are proud to present She Stoops to Conquer by Oliver Goldsmith. This time I'd like to ask you all to please silence your electronic devices and to refrain from using flash photography throughout the performance. I'd like to make a quick note. Due to actor emergencies, the director has had to step in for an actor, and so you will see a script being used on stage. Please pay attention to the lights and the cameras in the back. There are lots of cords around, so please do not trip. If you need to use the restroom at any time, they are located on the bottom floor of Brock, or we have some handicap accessible on the main floor of Probasco over here. Please keep the aisles clear, as the actors will be using them throughout the performance, and there will be a 10-minute intermission. Now please sit back, relax, and enjoy as Covenant College proudly presents She Stoops to Conquer.
I vow, Mr. Hardcastle, you're very particular. Is there a creature in the whole country but ourselves that does not take a trip to town now and then to rub off the rust a little? There's the two Miss Hoggs and Mrs. Grigsby who go take a month's polishing every winter.
Aye, and bring back vanity and affectation to last them the whole year. I wonder why London cannot keep its own fools at home. In my time, the follies of the town crept slowly among us. But now they travel faster than a stagecoach. Its fopperies come down not only as inside passengers, but in the very basket.
Aye, your times were fine times indeed. You've been telling us of them this long year. We live in this old, rumbling mansion that for all the world looks like an inn, except we never see company. No, our only visitors are Mrs. Oddfish, the curate's wife, and Mr. Crippergate, the old dancing master. Ugh! And all our entertainment are your old stories of the Prince Eugene and the Duke of Marlborough. Ah! I hate such old-fashioned trumpery!
And I love it. I love everything that's old. Old friends, old times, old manners, old books, old wine. And I believe, Dorothy, you'll own I've been pretty fond of an old wife.
Lord, Mr. Hardcastle, you're forever at your Dorothys and your old wives. Well, you may be Dick Van Dyke, but I won't be Mary Tyler Moore, I assure you. And I'm not so old as you make me by one good year. Add 20 to 20 and make money of that.
Let me see. 20 added to 20 makes just 50 and 7.
It's false, Mr. Hardcastle! I was but 20 when I was brought to the bed of Tony, who I had by Mr. Lumpkin, my first husband, and he's not come to years of discretion yet.
Nor ever will. I dare answer for him. You have taught him finely.
No matter. Tony Lumpkin is not to live by, he has good fortune. He's not to live by his learning. I don't think a boy wants much learning to spend 1,500 a year.
Learning? Quotha! A mere composition of tricks and mischief.
Humor, my dear. Nothing but humor. We must allow the boy a little humor, shan't we?
I'd rather allow him a horse pond. If burning the footman's shoes, frightening the maids, and worrying the kittens be humor, he has it. It was but yesterday he fastened my wig to the back of my chair, and when I went to make a bow, I popped my bald head in Mrs. Frizzle's face.
And am I to blame? The poor boy was too sickly to do any good. A school would be his death. Maybe when he gets a little stronger, we'll see what a year or two's Latin does for him.
Latin for him? A cat and fiddle. No. The alehouse and the stable are the only schools he'll ever go to.
Well, we must not snub the poor boy now. Anyone who sees in his face might see he's consumptive.
Aye. If eating too much be one of the symptoms.
He coughs sometimes.
Yes. When his liquor goes the wrong way.
I'm actually afraid of his lungs.
And truly, so am I. For he sometimes whoops like a speaking trumpet. Oh! There he goes again. A very consumptive figure, truly.
Tony, where are you going, my charmer? Won't you give Papa and I some of your time, lovey?
I cannot stay, Mother. I am in haste.
You shan't venture out on this raw evening. You look most shockingly.
I am in haste, I say. There's some fun going forward at the Three Pigeons.
Aye, the alehouse, the old place. I thought so.
A low, paltry set of fellows.
Not so low, neither. There's Dick Muggins, the money guy, and Jack Slang, the horse doctor, and little Aminadab, who grinds the music box, and Tom Twist, who spins the pewter platter.
Oh, pray, son, please disappoint them for one night.
As for disappointing them, I should not much mind, but I cannot abide to disappoint myself.
You shan't go.
Well, I will, I tell you.
Well, I say you shan't.
Well, we'll see who's faster then, you or I.
Oh! Tony, come here, you naughty!
Aye, there goes a pair that only spoil each other. But is not the whole age in a combination to drive sense and discretion out of doors? There's my pretty darling Kate. The fashions of the time have almost infected her, too. By living a year or two in town, she's as fond of gauze and French frippery as the best of them. Blessings on my pretty innocence. Dressed out as usual, my Kate. Goodness, what a superfluous quantity of silk hast thou got about thee, girl? I could never teach the fools of this age that the indigent world could be clothed out of the trimmings of the vain.
You know our agreement, sir. You allow me the morning to receive and pay visits and to dress in my own manner, and in the evening I put on my housewife's dress to please you.
Well, remember, I insist upon the terms of our agreement. And, by the by, I believe I shall have opportunity to try your obedience this very evening.
I protest, sir, I don't comprehend your meaning.
Well, then to be plain with you, Kate, I expect the young gentleman I've chosen to be your husband from town this very evening. I have his father's letter, in which he informs me that his son is set out, and that he intends to follow himself soon after.
Oh, indeed. I wish I'd known something of this before. Bless me, how shall I behave? It's 1,000 to 1 I shan't like him. Our meeting will be so formal and so like a thing of business, I shall find no room for friendship or esteem.
Depend upon it, child. I'll never control your choice. But Mr. Marlowe, whom I've pitched upon, is the son of my old friend Sir Charles Marlowe, of whom you've heard me talk so often. The young gentleman has been bred a scholar, and is designed for an employment in the service of his country. I'm told he's a man of an excellent understanding.
He?
Very generous.
I believe I shall like him.
Young and brave.
I'm sure I shall like him.
And very handsome.
My dear Papa, say no more. I'll have him. He's mine.
And to crown all, Kate, he's one of the most bashful and reserved young fellows in all the world.
Oh, you have frozen me to death again. That word reserved has undone all the rest of his accomplishments. A reserved lover, they say, always makes a suspicious husband.
On the contrary, modesty seldom resides in a breast that is not enriched with nobler virtues. It was the very feature of his character that first struck me.
He must have more striking features to catch me, I assure you. But if he be so young, so handsome, and so everything as you say, I believe he'll do still. I think I'll have him.
Aye, but Kate, there is still an obstacle. It is more than an even wager that he may not have you.
Oh, my dear Papa, why will you mortify one so? Well, if he refuses, instead of breaking my heart at his indifference, I'll simply break my glass for its flattery, set my cap to some newer fashion, and go after a less difficult admirer.
Bravely resolved. In the meantime, I'll go prepare the servants for his reception. As we seldom see much company, they want as much training as a company of recruits the first day's muster.
Lord, this news of Papa's puts me all in a flutter. Young, handsome, these he put last, but I put them foremost. Sensible, good-natured, I like all that, but then reserved and sheepish. That's much against him. Yet, can't he be cured of his timidity by being taught to be proud of his wife? Yes, and can't I... But I vow I'm disposing of the husband before I have secured the lover. Ah, Neville! I'm so glad you're come, my dear. Tell me, Constance, how do I look this evening? Whimsical? Is it one of my well-looking days? Tell me, am I in face today?
Oh, perfectly, my dear. Yet, now I look again. Oh. Bless me! Sure no accident has happened among the canary birds or the goldfishes? Has your brother or the cat been meddling? Or the last novel been too moving?
No, nothing of all that. I have been threatened. I can scarce get it out. I have been threatened with a lover.
And his name?
Is Marlowe.
Indeed!
The son of Sir Charles Marlowe.
As I live, the most intimate friend of Mr. Hastings, my admirer. Well, they are never asunder. I'm sure you must have seen them when we were living in town.
Never.
Well, he's a very singular character, I assure you. Among women of reputation and virtue, he is the modestest man alive. But acquaintance give him a very different character among creatures of another stamp. You understand me?
Surprising. An odd character indeed. Oh, how shall I manage him? What shall I do? Psh. Think no more of him, but trust to occurrences for success. Now, how goes on your own affair, my dear? Has my mother been courting you for my brother Tony as usual?
I have just come from one of our agreeable tete-a-tetes. She's been saying 100 tender things and setting off her pretty monster as the very pink of perfection.
And her partiality is such that she actually thinks him so. Well, a fortune like yours is no small temptation. Besides, as she has sole management of it, I'm not surprised to see her unwilling to let it go out of the family.
A fortune like mine, which chiefly consists of jewels, is no such mighty temptation. But, at any rate, if my Hastings be but constant, I'm sure not to be too difficult for her at last. In the meantime, though, I let her think that I am in love with her son, and she never dreams that my affections are set on another.
My good brother holds out stoutly. I could almost love him for hating you so.
Oh, it's a good-natured creature at bottom, and I'm sure would wish to see me married to anybody but himself. Miss Neville! Constance, my dear! Constance! Well, my aunt calls for the afternoon walk through the improvements. Allons, courage is necessary as our affairs are critical.
Oh, what if we're bedtime and all were well?
What a pity it is the squire has not come to his own. It would be well for all the publicans within 10 miles round of him.
All right, Master Slang. I'd show you what it means to keep choice company.
Oh, he takes after his own father for that. To be sure, old Squire Lumpkin was the finest gentleman I ever set my eyes on.
Right.
There was a saying in the place that he kept the best horses, dogs, and girls in the county.
I tell you, I'll be no bastard when I'm of age. No, no, no. I've had my eye on old Bet Bouncer of these parts for some time, and the Miller's gray mare. But come, my friends, drink, be merry. Stingo, what's the matter?
There be two gentlemen in a post-chaise at the door. They've lost their way upon the forest and are talking something about Mr. Hardcastle.
Surely one of them must be the one to come court sister. Do they seem to be Londoners?
I believe they may. They look woundily like Frenchmen.
Well, come. Desire them step this way, and I'll set them right in a twinkling. As for you, my friends, go off. They're not your kind of company. I'll be with you in the squeezing of a lemon. I'll go off. Father-in-law has been calling me whelp and hound these past 6 months, and if I'd be so smart, I'd be desired to get revenge upon him. But I'm afraid. Afraid of what? When I'm of age, I'll be worth 1,500 a year. 1,500, and let him frighten me out of that if he can.
What a tedious, uncomfortable day have we had of it. We were told it was but 40 miles across the country, and we've come above 60.
And all Marlowe from that unaccountable reserve years that would now let us inquire more frequently along the way.
I own Hastings. I am unwilling to lay myself under an obligation to everyone I meet, and often stand the chance of an unmannerly answer.
At present, however, it is not likely that we will receive an answer.
No offense, gentlemen, but I've heard that you are looking for one Mr. Hardcastle of these parts. But might I inquire, do you know what part of the country you are in?
Not in the least, sir. But should thank you for information.
Oh, nor the way you came.
No, sir, but if you could...
Well, gentlemen, I hate to be the one to inform you, but if you know not where you are, nor where you are going, nor the road from whence you came, you are lost.
We wanted no ghost to tell us that.
Yes, but might I ask, do you know the place from whence you came?
That's not necessary towards directing us where we are to go.
Oh, but no offense, gentlemen. Question for question is all but fair. So tell me, is this Mr. Hardcastle one old, whimsical, ugly fellow with a daughter and a very handsome son?
We have not seen the gentleman, but he has the family you mentioned.
The daughter, a tall, traipsing, trolloping, talkative maypole, and the son, a very well-bred, agreeable, handsome youth whom everybody is fond of.
Our information differs in this. The daughter is said to be well-bred and beautiful. The son, an awkward booby.
Oh, well then, gentlemen, I'm afraid you will not be finding Mr. Hardcastle tonight. No, no.
Unfortunate.
Yes, it is a long, dark, dangerous, dirty, boggy, dangerous trail. Stingo, tell them the way to Mr. Hardcastle's. Yes, Mr. Hardcastle's of Quagmire Marsh. You understand me.
Master Hardcastle's? Lackadaisy, my masters, you've come a deadly deal wrong. When you came to the bottom of the hill, you should have crossed down Squash Lane.
Yes, cross down Squash Lane.
Then you were to keep straight forward until you came to where 4 roads meet.
Come to where 4 roads meet.
Yes, but you must take only one.
Oh, sir, you're facetious.
Yes, and then you are to turn right, and then to the left, and then about it again to the right again, and then you are to go sideways and quickly turn around, and then go straight and forward, and then you are to go in the air, and then you are to go straight forward again until you come upon the old mill.
Zounds, ma'am, we could assume find out the longitude.
What's to be done, Marlowe?
This house promises but a poor reception, though perhaps the landlord can accommodate us.
Alack, master, we one spare bed in the whole house.
Yes, and I've heard that it has already been occupied, but perhaps if we ask the landlady, she might find you fine gentlemen a place by the fireside with 3 chairs and a bolster.
I hate sleeping by the fireside.
And I detest your 3 chairs and a bolster.
Oh, you do you? Shame. But I have hit it. Yes! The Buck's Head. The old Buck's Head on the hill. The finest inn in the whole country.
Oh, so we've escaped an adventure for this night, however.
Sure, you bean't sending them to your father's as an inn, do you?
Why, let them find that out, man! Yes! You are just to go straight until you come upon a very large house by the roadside. Horns hung above the door, that's the sign. When you see them, you are to call stoutly about you.
Sir, we are obliged to you. The servants can't miss the way.
Yes, but keep in mind, the owner, he is very rich and going off to business, and he very much cares about who he spends his time with, save your presence. But he will try to convince you that his mother was an alderman, very rich, and his aunt, a justice of the peace.
A troublesome old blade, to be sure, but he keeps as good wine and beds as any in the whole country.
Well, if he supplies us with these, we shall want no further connection. We are to turn to the right, did you say?
Oh, come, follow me. I shall show you the way.
Ah, bless your heart, for a sweet, pleasant, damned mischievous son of a whore.
Why, hello, you remind me of my cousin. I hate my cousin. Yes, come along, this way. Ooh, sir, you seem to be in the market for new shoes. This way about now, my friends. Hello, beautiful. She did not know what she was doing.
Don't think this man knows where he's going.
I don't either.
Yes, yes, come along, this way. Ah, here we are. The old Buck's Head on the hill. Enjoy your stay, boys.
Well, after the disappointments of the day, welcome once again, Marlowe, to a clean room and a good fire. And a very well-looking house indeed, antique but creditable.
The usual fate of a large mansion. Having first ruined the master by good housekeeping, it at last comes to levy contributions as an inn.
As you say, we passengers ought to be taxed to pay for all these fineries. I've often seen a good sideboard or marble chimney piece, but never fit into the bill, and flame a reckoning confoundedly.
Travelers George must pay in all places. The only difference is that in good inns you pay dearly for luxuries. In bad inns you are fleeced and starved.
You have lived pretty much among them. In truth, I have often been surprised that one who has seen so much of the world with your many good deeds and good senses could yet to acquire a requisite share of assurance.
The Englishman's malady. But tell me, George, where could I have learned that assurance you talk of? My life has been chiefly spent in a college or an inn, in seclusion from that lovely part of the creation that chiefly teaches men confidence. I don't know that I was ever familiarly acquainted with a single modest woman, except my mother. But among females of another class, you know.
Aye, among them you are impudent of all conscience.
They are of us, you know.
But among women of reputation, I have never seen such an idiot, such a trembler. You look as if all the world is if you want to steal out of the room.
Why, man, that's because I do want to steal out of the room. Faith, I've often formed a resolution to break the ice and rattle away at any rate, but I don't know how. A single glance from a pair of fine eyes has totally overset my resolution. An impudent fellow may counterfeit modesty, but I'll be hanged if a modest man can ever counterfeit impudence.
If you could but say to them some of the fine things I've heard you lavish upon the barmaid of an inn or a college bedmaker.
Why, George, I can't say fine things to them. They freeze, they petrify me. They may talk of a comet or a burning mountain or some such bagatelle, but to me, a modest woman, dressed out in all her finery, is the most tremendous object of the whole creation.
At this rate, man, how do you ever expect to marry?
Never. Unless, as among kings and princes, my bride were to be courted by proxy. If indeed, like an Eastern bridegroom, one were to be introduced to a wife he never saw before, it might be endured. But to go through all the terrors of a formal courtship, together with the episode of aunts, grandmothers, and cousins, and at last, to blurt out the broad, staring question of, "Madam, will you marry me?" No, that's a strain much above me, I assure you.
I pity you, but How do you intend on behaving to the lady you've come down to visit at the request of your father?
As I behave to all other ladies. Bow very low, answer yes or no to all her demands. But for the rest, I don't think I shall venture to look in her face till I see my father's again.
I've never known someone to be so warm a friend and yet so cool a lover.
To be explicit, my dear Hastings, my chief inducement down was to be instrumental in forwarding your happiness, not my own. Miss Neville loves you. The family don't know you, and as my friend, you are sure of a reception. And let honor do the rest.
Mr. Marlowe, but I'll suppress the emotion. Were I a wretch meanly seeking to carry away a fortune, you should be the last person I would apply to for assistance. But Miss Neville's person is all I desire. And that's mine, both for my deceased father's consent and her own inclination.
Happy man. You have talent and art to captivate any woman. I'm doomed to adore the sex and yet to converse with the only part of it I despise. This stammer in my address and this awkward, prepossessing visage of mine can never permit me to soar above the reach of a milliner's apprentice or one of the duchesses of Drury Lane. This fellow here to interrupt us.
Gentlemen, once more you are most heartily welcome. Which is Mr. Marlowe? Sir, you are most heartily welcome. It is not my way, you see, to receive my friends with my back to the fire. I like to give them a hearty reception in the old style at my gate. I like to see their horses and trunks taken care of.
He has got our names from the servants already. We approve your caution and hospitality, sir. I have been thinking, George, of changing our traveling dresses in the morning. I am grown confoundedly ashamed of mine.
Mr. Marlowe, pray, you'll use no ceremony in this house.
I find, Charles, you're right. I intend on opening with the white and gold.
Mr. Marlowe, Mr. Hastings, gentlemen, pray, be under no constraint in this house. This is Liberty Hall, gentlemen. You may do just as you please here.
Yeah, George, if we open the campaign too fiercely at first, we may want ammunition before it is over. I think to reserve the embroidery to secure a retreat.
You're talking of a retreat, Mr. Marlowe. Puts me in mind of the Duke of Marlborough when we went to besiege Denine. He first summoned the garrison.
Don't you think the Ventrador waistcoat will do with the plain brown?
He first summoned the garrison, which might consist of about 5,000.
I think not. Brown and yellow mix, but very poorly.
I say, gentlemen, as I was telling you, he first summoned the garrison, which might consist of about 5,000 men.
The girls like finery.
Which might consist of about 5,000 men, well stocked with stores, ammunition, and other implements of war. Now, says the Duke of Marlborough to George Brooks, who stood next to him. You must have heard of George Brooks. I pawn my dukedom, says he, but I take that garrison without spilling a drop of blood, so—
What, my good friend? If you gave us a glass of punch in the meantime, it would help us to carry on the siege with vigor.
Punch, sir! This is the most unaccountable kind of modesty I ever met with.
Yes, sir. Punch. A glass of warm punch after our journey will be comfortable. This is Liberty Hall, you know.
Here is a cup, sir.
So this fellow in his Liberty Hall will only let us have just what he pleases.
I hope you'll find it to your mind. You'll see I've prepared it with my own hands and, well, I believe you'll own the ingredients are tolerable. Would you be so good as to pledge me, sir? Here, Mr. Marlowe. Here is our better acquaintance.
A very impudent fellow, this. But he's a character. And I'll humor him a little. Sir, my service to you.
I see this fellow insist on giving us his company before he learns that he's a gentleman.
In the excellence of your cup, my old friend, I suppose you have a good deal of business in this part of the country. Warm work now and then at elections, I suppose?
Oh, no, sir. I've long since given that work over. Since our betters have hit upon the expedient of electing each other, there's no business for us that sell ale.
So you have no turn for politics, I find.
No, sir, not in the least. There was a time, indeed, I fretted myself about the mistakes of government like other people. But finding myself every day grow more angry and the government no better, I left it to mend itself. Since that, I know more trouble in my head about Joe Biden or Joe Stalin than about J-Lo. Sir, my service to you.
So with eating above the stairs and drinking below, with accepting your friends within and amusing them without, you lead a great bustling life of it.
I do stir about a great deal indeed. Half the differences of the parish are adjusted in this very parlor.
You have an argument in your couple, gentlemen, better than any in Westminster Hall.
Ah, young gentleman, that and a little philosophy.
Well, this is the first time I ever heard of an innkeeper's philosophy.
So, like an experienced general, you attack on all fronts. If you find their reason manageable, you attack them with your philosophy. If you find that they have no reason, you attack them with this. Here's to your health, my philosopher.
Good, very good. Your generalship, Mr. Hastings, reminds me of the Prince Eugene when he fought the Turks at the Battle of Belgrade. You shall hear.
Instead of the Battle of Belgrade, I believe it's almost time to talk about supper. What has your philosophy got in the house for supper?
For supper, sir. Was ever there such a request to a man in his own house?
Yes, sir. Supper, sir. I begin to feel an appetite. I shall make devilish work tonight in the larder, I promise you.
Such a brazen dog, sure never my eyes beheld. Why, really, sir? As for supper, I can't well tell. My Dorothy and the cook maid usually handle these things between them. I leave these things entirely up to them.
You do you?
Entirely! By the by, I believe they are in actual consultation upon what's for supper this moment in the kitchen.
Then I beg they'll admit me as one of their privy council. It's a way I've got. When I travel, I always choose to regulate my own supper. Let the cook be called. No offense, I hope, sir.
Oh, no, sir. None in the least. And yet, I'm not sure how. Our Bridget, the cook maid, is not very communicative upon these occasions. Should we send for her, she might scold us all out of the house.
Well, let's see the list of the larder then. I ask it as a favor. I tend to match my appetite with my bill of fare.
Sir, he's very right, and it's my way, too.
Sirs, you have a right to command here. Here, Roger! Bring us the bill of fare for tonight's supper. I believe it's drawn out. Your manner, Mr. Hastings, reminds me of my uncle, Colonel Wallop. It was a saying of his that no man was sure of his supper till he had eaten it.
This man is all upon the high ropes. His uncle a colonel. Soon we shall hear of his mother being a justice of the peace. But let's hear the list of the larder then.
What's here? For the first course? For the second course? For the dessert? The devil, sir! Do you think we have brought down the whole joiner's company? Or the corporation of Bedford to eat up such a supper? 2 or 3 little things, clean and comfortable, will do.
But let's hear it. For the first course at the top, a pig and prune sauce. Damn your pig, I say!
And damn your prune sauce, say I.
And yet, gentlemen, to men that are hungry, pig with prune sauce is very good eating.
At the bottom, a calf's tongue and brains.
Let your brains be knocked out, my good sir. I don't like them.
Or you may clap them on a plate by themselves. I do.
Their impudence confounds me. Gentlemen, you are my guests. Make what alterations you please. Is there anything else you'd like to retrench or alter, gentlemen?
Item: a pork pie, a boiled rabbit and sausages, a Florentine, a shaking pudding, and a dish of taffety cream.
Confound your made dishes. I should be as much at a loss here as at the Cheesecake Factory.
I'm sorry, sirs, that I have nothing that you like, but if there be anything you have a particular fancy for...
Why, really, sir, your bill of fare is so exquisite that any one part of it is full as good as another. Send us what you please. So much for supper. Now to see that our beds are aired and properly taken care of.
I entreat you'll leave all that to me. You shall not stir a step.
Leave that to you. I protest, sir. You must excuse me. I always look to these things myself.
I must insist, sir. You'll make yourself easy on that head.
You see, I'm resolved on it. A very troublesome fellow this as ever I met with.
Well, I'm resolved at least to attend you. This may be modern modesty, but I never saw anything look so like old-fashioned impudence!
I find this fellow's civilities begin to go troublesome. But who could be angry at those assiduities which are meant to please him? Miss Neville, by all that's happy.
Oh, my dear Hastings! By what unexpected good fortune, by what accident am I to ascribe this happy meeting?
But let me ask you the same questions. I could never have hoped to meet my dearest Constance at an inn.
An inn? Oh, why sure you mistake. My aunt, my guardian lives here. What could induce you to think this place an inn?
Mr. Marlowe, with whom I've been sent down, and I have been sent here as to an inn, I assure you. A young fellow whom we met along the way, hard by directed us hither.
Certainly it's one of my hopeful cousin's tricks, of whom you've heard me talk so often.
He whom your aunt intends you to marry, he whom I have such just apprehensions.
You have nothing to fear of him, I assure you. You would adore him if you know how heartily he despises me. My aunt knows it too, and has actually begun to court me for him, and has actually begun to think she's made a conquest.
Thou dearest dissembler, you must know, my Constance, that I have seized this happy opportunity of my friend's visit here to gain acceptance into the family. Our horses are fatigued from their journey, but they'll soon be refreshed. And if you'll entrust in your faithful Hastings, we shall soon be off in France, where even among slaves the laws of marriage are respected.
As I have often told you that, though ready to obey you, I should still leave my little fortune behind with reluctance. The greatest part of it was given to me by my uncle, the India director, and chiefly consists in jewels. I have for some time now been trying to convince my aunt to let me wear them, and I fancy I am very near succeeding. Oh, the instant they are put into my possession, you shall find me ready to make them and myself yours.
Perish the baubles, your person is all I desire. In the meantime, Mr. Marlowe must not be led into his mistake. The strange reserve of his temper is such that should he be informed of it, he should quit the house before our plan was ripe for execution.
But how shall we keep him in the deception? Miss Hardcastle is just now returning from walking. What if we continue to deceive him? This way, this way.
Assiduities of these good people tease me beyond bearing. My host seems to think it ill manners to leave me alone, so he claps not only himself, but his old-fashioned wife on my back. They talk of coming to sup with us, too. Then I suppose we are to run the gauntlet through all the rest of the family. What have we got here?
Mr. Marlowe! Let me congratulate you, the most fortunate accident. Guess who has just alighted?
Cannot guess.
Our mistress's boy, Miss Hardcastle and Miss Neville. Give me leave to introduce Miss Constance Neville to your acquaintance. Happening to dine in the neighborhood, they called upon fresh horses here. Miss Hardcastle has just stepped into the next room, and she'll be back in an instant. Wasn't it lucky, eh?
I have just been mortified enough of all conscience, and here comes something to complete my embarrassment.
Well, wasn't it the most fortunate thing in the world?
Oh, yes, very fortunate. A most joyful encounter. But our dresses, George, you know, are in disorder. What if we should postpone the happiness till tomorrow? Tomorrow, at our own house, it will be every bit as convenient and rather more respectful tomorrow. Let it be.
Oh, by no means, sir. Your ceremony will displease her. The disorder of your dress will but show the ardor of your impatience. Besides, she already knows you're in the house and will bid you to see her.
Oh, the devil. How shall I support it? Ahem. Hastings, you must not go. You are to assist me, you know. I shall be confoundedly ridiculous. And yet, hang it, I'll take courage.
Man, it is but the first plunge and all's over. She's but a woman, you know.
And of all women, she that I dread most to encounter.
Oh, Miss Hardcastle! Mr. Marlowe, I'm proud of bringing two people of such merit together who only wish to know to esteem each other.
Now for meeting my modest gentleman with a demure face and quite in his own manner. I'm glad of your safe arrival, sir. I'm told you had some accidents, by the way.
Only a few, madam. Yes, we had some. Yes, madam, a good many accidents, but should be sorry, madam. Or rather glad of any accidents that are so agreeably concluded.
Never spoke better in your whole life, man! Keep it up and I'll ensure you the victory.
I'm afraid you flatter, sir, you that have seen so much of the finest company. should find little entertainment in an obscure corner of the country.
I have lived indeed in the world, madam, but I've kept very little company. I have been but an observer upon life, madam, while others were enjoying it.
Oh, well, that, I am told, is the way to enjoy it at last.
Cicero never spoke better, but once more and you are confirmed in assurance forever.
Stand by me then, and when I'm down, throw in a word or two to set me up again.
An observer like you upon life were, I fear, disagreeably concluded, as you must have had much more to censure than to approve.
Pardon me, madam, I was always willing to be amused. The folly of most people is rather an object of mirth than uneasiness.
Bravo! Bravo! Never spoke better in your whole life. Miss Hardcastle, I can see that you and Mr. Marlowe are going to make great company, and our being here will but embarrass the interview.
Not in the least, Mr. Hastings! We like your company of all things. Zounds, George, sure you won't go. How can you leave us?
Our presence here will but spoil conversation, so we'll retire to the next room. What you don't understand, man, is we're to manage a little tete-a-tete of our own.
You must not have been wholly an observer, I presume, sir. The ladies, I should hope, have employed some part of your addresses.
Pardon me, madam. I as yet have studied only to deserve them.
And that, some say, is the very worst way to obtain them.
Perhaps so, madam. But I love to converse only with the more grave and sensible part of the sex, but I'm afraid I grow tiresome.
Not at all, sir. There's nothing I like so much as grave conversation myself. I could listen to it forever. Indeed, I've often wondered how a man of sentiment could ever admire those light, airy pleasures where nothing reaches the heart.
It's a disease of the mind, madam. In the variety of taste, there must be some who, wanting a relish for,
I understand you, sir. There must be some who, wanting a relish for refined pleasures, pretend to despise that which they're incapable of tasting.
My meaning, madam, but infinitely better expressed, and I can't help observing,
Who could ever suppose this fellow impudent upon occasion? You were going to observe, sir?
I was observing, madam. I protest, madam. I forget what I was going to observe.
I vow, and so do I. You were observing, sir, that in this age of hypocrisy, something about hypocrisy, sir.
Yes, madam. In this age of hypocrisy, there are few who, upon strict inquiry, do not I
understand you perfectly.
Gad, that's more than I do myself.
You mean that in this hypocritical age, there are a few that do not condemn in public that which they practice in private, and think they pay every debt to virtue when they praise it.
True, madam. Those who have most virtue in their mouths have least of it in their bosoms. But I'm sure I tire you, madam.
Not at all, sir. I was never more agreeably entertained in all my life. There's something so spirited in your manner, such life and force. I beg you'll proceed.
Yes, madam, I was saying that there are some occasions when a total want of courage, madam, destroys all the and puts us upon
I agree with you entirely. There's a time when a total want of courage can, on some occasions, assume the appearance of ignorance and betrays us when we most want to excel. Pray, sir, go on.
Yes, madam, morally speaking, madam, but I see Miss Neville expecting us in the next room. I would not intrude for the world.
Not at all, sir. I was never more agreeably entertained. I beg you'll proceed.
Yes, madam, I was saying, but she beckons us to join her. Madam, shall I do myself the honor to attend you?
Well then, I'll follow.
This pretty smooth dialogue is done for me.
Such a sober, sentimental interview. I'm certain he scarce looked in my face the whole time. Yet the fellow, but for his unaccountable bashfulness, is pretty well, too. He has good sense, but then so buried in his fears that it fatigues one more than ignorance. If I could teach him a little confidence, it would be doing someone I know a piece of service. But who is that someone? That, faith, is a question I can scarce answer.
Egad, Cousin Con, why do you follow me about so? Are you not ashamed to be so very engaging?
I should hope, cousin, one might be able to speak to one's own relations and not be to blame.
No, I know what kind of relation you seek to make me, but it will not do, I tell you, it will not do.
Well, I vow, Mr. Hastings, you are very entertaining. There's nothing I love to talk of so much as London and the fashions, though I'd never been there myself.
Never there. You amaze me. Why, with your air and manner, I concluded you had been bred either in Ranelagh, St. James, or Tower Wharf.
Oh, you are pleased to say so, sir. We country persons can have no manner at all. Oh, I am in love with London, which serves to put me above some of my neighboring rustics. But who can have manner at all who hasn't seen the Pantheon, the Grotto Gardens, the Borough, and other such places where the nobility chiefly resort? I must enjoy London at second hand, so I take care to know every tete-a-tete from the Scandalous magazine and read every fashion from the two Miss Ricketts of Crooked Lane. Pray, Mr. Hastings, what do you think of this head?
Very elegant and dégagé. Upon my word, madam, your frigere must be a Frenchman, I suppose.
I protest, sir. I did it myself from a print in the Lady Memorandum's book last year.
Oh, well, such a head in the side box of the Playhouse would draw more gazers than my Lady Mayoress at a city ball.
Since inoculation, there is no such thing to be seen as a plain woman, so one must dress a little particular or escape in the crowd.
But that can never be your case, madam, in any dress.
But what signifies my dressing when I have such a piece of antiquity by my side as Mr. Hardcastle, who will not argue down a single button of his coat? I've often wanted to throw off his wig and where he was bald, plaster it like my Lord Paisley with powder.
You're right, madam, as among the women there are none ugly, so among the men there should be none old.
But what do you think his answer was? Oh no, he said I only wanted his wig to make for a tate of my own wearing.
Intolerable! A woman should wear whatever she pleases, and it must become her.
Pray, Mr. Hastings, what would you say is the most fashionable age among town?
Some time ago, 40 was all the mode, but now I heard the ladies intend to bring up 50 for the ensuing winter.
Seriously? Yes. Then I shall be too young for the fashion.
Well, ladies barely begin to put on jewels until they're past 40. Why, Miss there in a polite circle would be but a child, a mere maker of samplers.
Yet Miss Niece thinks herself as much as a woman, is in want of jewels as the oldest of us all.
Your niece, is she? Why, that young gentleman over there is your brother, I should presume.
Sir, he's my son. The two are contracted to each other. They fall in and out of love 10 times a day. One would think they were man and wife already. Oh, Tony, my dear, what soft things are you saying to your cousin Constance?
I am saying no soft things, except that I cannot find a space in this house to myself, aside from the stable.
Oh, never mind him, Con. He is in a different nature behind your back.
Oh, there is something generous in my cousin's manner. He falls before faces to be forgiven in private.
That's damn confounded crap!
Oh, he's a sly one, he is. Don't you think they're like each other about the mouth, Mr. Hastings? It's the Blenkinsop mouth to a T. They're of size, too. Back to back, the two of you, so we can show Mr. Hastings. Come, come.
Oh, you had better good as not make me.
Come here, Tony. Back to back. Here we are. Very close. Oh! Lud! Well, he's almost cracked my skull! You monster, you, Tony! And a man to behave so!
If I'm a man, then give me my fortune. I tell you, I'll not be made of a fool no longer.
Is this, ungrateful boy, all that I am to get for the pains I have taken in your education? Did I not rock you in your cradle and feed that pretty mouth of yours? Did I not work this waistcoat to make you genteel? Did I not prescribe for you every day and weep while the receipt was operating?
Oh, ho, ho! You had reason to weep, for you had been dosing me every day since I was a boy. But I tell you, I'll not be made of a fool no longer, Mama. I'll not be made of a fool no longer.
Wasn't it all for your good, Viper? Wasn't it all for your good?
What do you know of me and my good? For whenever I am in spirits, you do not leave me to find my own good. You go and ding, ding, ding it into my head.
It's false! I never get to see you when you're in spirits. No, then you go to the ale house or the kennel. No, when you're in spirits, I'm not to be delighted with your agreeable, wild notes, you unfeeling monster!
Oh, Mama! It was your own notes that were the wildest of the two!
Oh, he wants to break my heart, he does!
Allow me to lecture the young gentleman, madam. I'm sure I can persuade him to his duty.
Well, I must retire then. Come, Constance, my dear. Do you see, Mr. Hastings, the wretchedness of my situation? Was ever a woman plagued with such a dear, pretty, provoking, undutiful boy?
There was a young man come riding by and fain his Huh? Let her cry. She likes it. Yeah, I've heard her say so myself. In fact, I've heard her and cousin and sister say that they like a book the more it makes them cry. Ugh.
So, you're no friend to the ladies, I find, my pretty young gentleman.
And that's as I find them.
And not to her of your mother's choosing, I dare answer, but to me she seems a pretty, well, sensible girl.
Oh, that's because you haven't known her as long as I. No, let me tell you, she is the most cantankerous toad in all of Christendom.
Pretty encouragement, this, for a lover.
Egad, I have known her since the height of that, and let me tell you, she has more tricks than a hare in a thicket, or a colt in day's breaking.
But to me she seems sensible and silent.
Ah, yes, when she is alone, but get her around her playmates, and she is as loud as a hog in a gate.
But there is a meek modesty about her that charms me.
Oh, but curb her ever so little, and you're kicked off and flung into a ditch.
But you must allow her some beauty.
Bandbox, man, it's all a made-up thing. But you could see Bet Bouncer of these parts. Then you'd know real beauty. Her eyes are black as sloes, and her cheeks are red and broad as pulpit cushions. She'd but make two of she if she could.
What say you to a friend who would take this bit of bargain off your hands?
Anon.
What say you to he who would take Miss Neville and leave you to your happiness and dear Betsy?
But where is there a friend who would take the likes of her?
I am he! If you but assist me, I will whisk her off to France, and you shall never hear tell of her again.
You? Assist you? Assist you? Egad, I will to the last drop of my blood, I will. I will whip up a pair of horses to your chase, and you two shall be trundled off like a twinkling in the night. And then I might even find you fortune that you could little ever dream of.
My dear squire, this looks like a lot of spirit.
Oh, spirit? You have yet to see spirit. Come along now.
What could my old friend Sir Charles mean by recommending his son as the modestest young man in town? To me, he seems the most impudent piece of brass that ever spoke with a tongue. He has taken possession of the chair by the fireside already. He took his boots off in the parlor and desired me to see them taken care of. I'm desirous to know how his impudence affects my daughter. She must surely be most shocked at it. Well, my Kate, I see you've changed your dress as I bid you, and yet I'm afraid there is no great occasion for it.
I find such a pleasure, sir, in obeying your commands that I take care to observe them without ever debating their propriety.
And yet, Kate, I sometimes give you some cause, particularly when I recommended my modest gentleman as a lover to you today.
You taught me to expect something extraordinary, and I find the original exceeds the description.
I was never so surprised in my life. He has quite confounded all of my faculties.
I never saw anything like it. And a man of the world, too.
Aye, he learned it all abroad. What a fool was I to think that a young man could learn modesty by traveling. He might as soon learn wit at a masquerade.
It seems all natural to him.
A good deal assisted by bad company and a French dancing master.
Sure you mistake, Papa. A French dancing master could have never taught him that timid look, that awkward address, that bashful manner.
Whose look? Whose manner? Child!
Mr. Marlowe's! His mauvaise honte, his timidity, struck me at first sight.
Then your first sight deceived you, for he struck me as one of the most brazen first sights that ever astonished my senses.
Sure, sir, you rally. I never saw anyone so modest.
And can you be serious? I never saw such a bouncing, swaggering puppy in my life. Kanye West was but a fool to him.
Surprising. He met me with a respectful bow, a stammering voice, and a look just fixed on the ground.
He met me with a loud voice, a lordly air, and a familiarity that made my blood freeze.
He treated me with diffidence and respect, censured the manners of the ages, admired the prudence of girls who never laughed, and then left the room with a bow and a madam, I would not for the world detain you.
He spoke to me as if he'd known me all his life before, asked 20 questions, and never waited for an answer. Interrupted my best remark with some silly pun. And when I was in the middle of my best story of the Duke of Marlborough and Prince Eugene, he asked if I had not a good hand at making punch. Yes, Kate, he asked your father if he was a maker of punch.
Surely one of us must be mistaken.
If he be what he has shown himself, I'm determined he shall never have my consent.
And if he be the sullen thing I take him for, he shall never have mine.
Then in one thing we are agreed, to reject him.
Yes, but upon conditions. For if you should find him more respectful, and I more importunate, if you should find him less impudent, and I more presuming, I don't know, the fellow is well enough for a man, and we certainly don't meet many such at a horse race in the country.
If we should find him so, but that's impossible. The first appearance has done my business. I'm seldom deceived in that.
There may be many good qualities under that first appearance.
Aye. When a girl finds a fellow's outside to her taste, she then sets about guessing the rest of his furniture. To her, a smooth face stands for good sense, and a genteel figure for every virtue.
I hope, sir, a conversation begun with a compliment to my good sense does not end with a sneer at my understanding?
Pardon me, Kate. But if young Mr. Brazen can find the art of reconciling contradictions, he may please us both, perhaps.
One of us must be mistaken. What if we go to make further discoveries?
Agreed. But depend on it, I'm in the right.
And depend on it, I'm not much in the wrong.
God, I have got them. Cousin Con's bobs, trinkets, and jewels. My friend, is that you I see?
My dear friend, how have you managed with your mother? Have you amused her in pretending love for your cousin and that you are willing to be reconciled at last? Our horses will be refreshed in a short time and we shall soon be ready to go.
Take these to bear your charge, your sweetheart's jewels. Yes, take them and keep them near.
But how have you procured them from your mother?
Oh, ask me no questions and I'll tell you no fibs. But I procured them through sleight of thumb. Yes, see, if I didn't borrow from my mother so often, then how else should I so often go to the alehouse? An honest man may steal from himself at any time.
Yep, thousands do it every day. But to be plain with you, Miss Neville's currently trying to procure them from your mother, and should she succeed, I find it'd be the most delicate way of obtaining them.
Oh, no. Keep them and hold them near until you know how it will be, for I know how it will be well enough, and let me tell you, she would sooner part with the soundest tooth in her head.
But I dread the effects of her resentment should she find out that they are lost.
Oh, leave me to manage her resentment. Oh, but here they come. Zounds, Morris Prince.
You amaze me, Constance. Such a girl in want of jewels? Oh, give it some time, my love, and in 20 years when your beauty is in want of repairs.
Oh, but what will improve beauty at 40 will certainly improve it at 20, madam.
Yours will admit of none. That natural blush is, that beyond 1,000 ornaments. Besides, jewels are out at present. I mean, think of all the ladies of our acquaintance, Lady Kill Daylight and Mrs. Crump. They go to town with their jewels and come back with nothing but paste and marcasites.
Oh, but who knows, madam, but that somebody who shall remain nameless will but like me better with all my little finery about me.
Consult your glass, my dear, and see if such a fine eyes are in want of better sparklers. Well, Tony, do you think your cousin Constance with some jewels in your eyes might set off her beauty?
No.
Oh, my dear aunt, but if you knew how it would oblige me.
Dear Constance, a parcel of old-fashioned roses and table-cut things, to be sure. You would look like a court at King Solomon's at a puppet show. Besides, I can't readily come about them. They're missing, for aught I know to the contrary.
Then why don't you tell her that? Yes, tell her they're missing, as she so desires to hear it. Tell her they're lost, for that will quiet her, and I can bear witness.
You know I only want the jewels for your sake, Tony. So if I say they're missing, you'll bear me witness?
Never fear me. Egad, I'll swear my oath on it.
Oh, I desire them but for a day, to wear them as relics. Then they might be locked up again.
To be plain with you, my Constance dear, if I could find them, then you could have them. But they're missing! Lost for aught I know, and cannot be found.
I won't believe it. This is but a shallow pretense to deny me. I know they're too valuable to be slightly kept, as you are to answer for the loss.
Don't be alarmed, my Constance. If they're missing, I must replace an equivalent. But they are lost, and my son knows it too, that they are missing and cannot be found.
Aye, it is true, for I have seen them stolen away with mine own 2 eyes.
You must learn resignation, my dear. You must learn resignation, for though we lose our fortune, we must not lose our patience. See me, how calm I am.
Aye, people are generally calm at the misfortune of others.
Now I wonder a girl of your good sense should be in want of such trumpery. You shall soon find them, and in the meantime, you may make use of my garments till we find yours.
I detest garnets.
The most becoming things in the world to set off such a beauty. You've often seen me wear them, and they look fantastic on me, don't they? I shall go get them for you.
I detest them of all things. You shan't stir. Oh, was anything so provoking than to mislay my own jewels to force me to wear her trumpery?
By the laws, miss. If she gives you her garnets, take what you can get, for your jewels are safe well enough. I have procured them. Yes, miss. Go, off, fly to your spark, and he will tell you all that there is to know.
Oh, my dear cousin!
But here she comes. Go, vanish, go! God.
Eugene! Thieves! Robbers! London broken open, undone!
Oh no, Mama! Whatever could be the matter? Surely nothing has happened to the good family.
We're robbed! My burrow has broken open and all is missing!
Oh, is that all? Oh, Mama, what great acting! Oh, yes, say that, and I can bear witness.
Oh, boy! We are ruined in earnest! My burrow is broken open and all taken out!
Well, sure, and I am to say so well enough.
I tell you, Tony, by all that's precious, my burrow has broken open and all taken out!
Yes, I know, and I am to say so.
But my dearest Tony, hear me! The jewels are gone, I say, they're gone!
Well, sure, I know they're gone. I have seen them taken out well enough. Yes, stick to that, Mama, stick to that. Then they should suspect neither of us.
Was there ever such a blockhead who never knew the difference between jest and earnest? I am not in jest, Booby!
I can bear witness to that.
Was there ever such a cross-grained brood that won't hear me? Can you bear witness that you're no better than a fool? I tell you, can you bear witness that you're better than a fool? Was ever so woman plagued with fools on one hand and thieves on the other?
I can bear witness to that.
You fool! To treat your mother so, I will teach you to vex your mother, I will!
I can bear witness to that.
Come here, you brute, you! Bear witness to this!
Creature is that brother of mine. To send him to the house is an inn! I don't wonder at his impudence.
But what is more, madame, as you pass in your present dress, the young gentleman asked me if you were the barmaid. He mistook you as the barmaid, madame!
Oh! Did he? Then I vow I'm resolved to keep up the delusion. Tell me, Penelope, how do you like my present dress? Don't you think I look a little something like Keira Knightley in the Pirates of the Caribbean?
It's the dress, madame, that all the ladies wear in the country, but when they visit or receive company.
And you're certain he does not remember my face or person?
Certain of it.
I vow I thought so. For though we spoke together for some time, his fears were such that he never once looked up during the interview. Indeed, if he had, my bonnet would have kept him from seeing me.
But, madame, what do you hope for keeping him in his mistake?
In the first place, I shall be seen. And that is no small advantage for a girl who brings her face to market. And then perhaps I shall make an acquaintance, and that is no small victory gained over one who never addresses any but the wildest of her sex. But my chief aim is to take my gentleman off his guard, and like an invisible champion of romance, examine the giant's force before I offer to combat.
But madame, are you sure you can act a part, disguise your voice, so that he may mistake that as he has already mistaken your person?
Never fear. I think I've got the true bar cant down. Did your honor call? A tin line there. Pipes and tobacco for the angel. The lamb has been outrageous this half hour.
It'll do, madame. But he's here.
Go, go, go.
What a bawling in every part of the house. I've scarce a moment's repose. If I go to the best room, there I find my host and his story. If I fly to the gallery, there we have my hostess with her curtsy down to the ground. At last got a moment to myself. And now, for recollection.
Did you call, sir? Did your honor call?
As for Miss Hardcastle, she's too grave and sentimental for me.
Did your honor call?
No, girl. Besides, from the glimpse I had of her, I think she squints.
I'm sure, sir, I heard the bell ring.
No, no. I pleased my father, however, by coming down, and I'll tomorrow please myself by returning.
Perhaps the other gentleman called, sir?
I tell you, no.
I'm sure I should like to know. We have such a parcel of servants here.
No, no, I tell you. Yes, my dear, I think I did call. I vow you are vastly handsome.
Oh, law, sir, you'll make one ashamed.
Never saw a more sprightly, malicious eye. Yes, my dear, I did call. Have you got any of your, what do you call it in the house?
No, sir, we've been out of that these 10 days.
One may call in this house, I find, to very little purpose. Suppose I should call for a taste, just by way of trial of the nectar of your lips. Perhaps I might be disappointed in that, too?
Nectar. Nectar. That's a liquor there's no call for around these parts. French, I suppose. We keep no French wines here, sir.
Of true English growth, I assure you.
Then it's odd I should not know it. We brew all sorts of wines here, and I've been here these last 18 years.
18 years? Why, one would think you kept the bar before you were born. How old are you?
Oh, sir, you must not ask my age. They say women in music should never be dated.
To guess at this distance, you can't be much above 40.
Oh.
And yet nearer, I don't think so much. By coming close to some women, they look younger still. But when we come very close indeed...
Pray, sir, keep your distance. One would think you wanted to know one's age as they do horses by mark a mouth.
I protest. You use me extremely ill. If you keep me at this distance, how is it possible you and I can ever be acquainted?
And who would want to be acquainted with you? I want no such acquaintance. Not I. I'm sure you did not treat Miss Hardcastle, who was here a while ago, in this obstropolous manner. I warrant before her you looked dashed and kept bowing to the ground and acted for all the world like you was before justice of the peace.
Egad, she has hit it sure enough. In all of her, a mere awkward squinting thing. No. I find you don't know me. I laughed and rallied her a bit, but I was unwilling to be too severe. No, I could not be. Too severe. Curse me.
And you are a favorite, I find, amongst the ladies?
Yes, my dear. A great favorite. And yet, hang me, I don't see what they find in me to follow. At the ladies' club in town, I'm called their agreeable Rattle. Rattle, my dear, is not my real name, but one I'm known by. My name is Solomons. Mr. Solomons, my dear, at your service.
Hold, sir. You were introducing me to your club, not to yourself. And you are so great a favorite there, you say?
Yes, there's Mrs. Mantrap, Lady Betty Blackleg, the Countess of Sligo, Mrs. Longhorns, old Miss Biddy Buckskin, and your humble servant. Keep up the spirit of the place.
And it's a very merry place, I suppose?
Yes, as merry as cards, suppers, wine, and old women can make us.
And their agreeable Rattle.
Egad, I don't quite like this chit. She looks knowing, methinks. You laugh?
I can't help but laugh to think what time they have for minding their work or their family.
All's well. She don't laugh at me. Do you ever work?
There's not a screen or quilt in the whole house but what can bear witness to that.
Odd so. Then you must show me your embroidery. I embroider and draw patterns myself a little. If you want a judge of your work, you must apply to me.
But the colors don't look so well by candlelight. You shall see all in the morning.
And why not now, my angel? Such beauty fires beyond the power of resistance. The father here. My old luck, I never called Uno without drawing for following.
So this, I find, is your modest lover? This your humble admirer who keeps his eyes fixed on the ground and only admires at a humble distance? Kate! Kate! Art thou not ashamed to deceive your father so?
Never trust me, my dear Papa, but he's still the modest man I first took him for. You'll be convinced of it as well as I.
By the hand of my body, I believe his impudence is infectious! Didn't I see him seize your hand just now? Didn't I see him haul you about like a milkmaid? And now you talk to me of his modesty and his respect? Forsooth!
But if I could shortly convince you of his modesty, that he has only the virtues that will grow with age and the faults that will pass off with time, I hope you'll forgive him.
The girl would make one actually run mad! I tell you, I'm not to be convinced. I am convinced! He has scarcely been in this house 3 hours, and he has already encroached on all of my prerogatives. You may like his impudence and call it modesty, but my son-in-law, madam, must have very different qualifications.
I ask but this night to convince you.
You shall not have half the time, for I have thoughts of turning him out of the house this very hour.
Give me that hour, then, and I hope to satisfy you.
Well, an hour let it be, then. But I'll have no trifling with your father. All fair and open. Do you mind me?
I hope, sir, you'll find that I have ever considered your commands as my pride, and my duty has yet been inclination.
baby, won't you be my girl? Well, I've been waiting, anticipating, feel my foolish heart palpitating. Me and you becoming two, that's a reason for celebrating. I've been waiting, anticipating, feel my foolish heart palpitating. Me and you becoming two, that's a reason for Well, if I summoned up the confidence to give romance a whirl, then I'd break the chains of common sense. Say, baby, won't you be my girl? Won't you? Won't you be my girl? I said, baby, won't you be my girl?
I expect you here this night. Where have you had your information?
You may depend on it. I've just seen his letter to Mr. Hardcastle in which he tells him he intends on setting out a few hours after his son.
Then my conscience must be completed before he arrives. He knows me, and should he see me, might discover my name and perhaps my designs for the family.
The jewels, I hope, are safe.
Yes, Mr. Marlowe has them. He keeps the keys of our baggage. In the meantime, I go to prepare matters for our elopement. I have the squire's promise for fresh horses, and should I not see him again, shall write to him with further information.
Well, success attend you. In the meantime, I will continue to amuse my aunt with the old pretense of a violent passion for my cousin.
I wonder what Hastings could mean by sending me so valuable a thing as a casket to keep for him, when he knows the only place I have is the seat of a postcoach at an inn door. Have you deposited the casket with the landlady as I ordered you? Have you put it into her own hands?
Yes, sir.
She said she'd keep it safe, did she?
Yes, she said she'd keep it safe enough. She asked me how I came by it and said she had a great mind to make me give an account of myself.
They're safe, however. What an unaccountable set of beings have we got amongst. This little barmaid, though, runs in my head most strangely, driving out the absurdities of all the rest of the family. She's mine. She must be mine, or I'm greatly mistaken.
Bless me, I quite forgot to tell her that I intend to prepare at the bottom of the garden. Mr. Marlowe here, and his spirits too.
Give me joy, George, crown me, shadow me with laurels. Well, George, after all, we modest fellows don't want for success among the women.
Some women, you mean, but what has your honor's modesty been crowned with now that it grows so insolent upon us?
Didn't you see the tempting, brisk, lovely little thing that runs about the house with a bunch of keys to its girdle?
Well, then what then?
She's mine, you rogue, you. Such fire, such motion, such eyes, such lips. But egad, she would not let me kiss them, though.
But you're sure of her, so very sure.
Why, man, she talked of showing me her work above stairs, and I am to improve the pattern.
But how could you, Marlowe? To go about to rob a woman of her honor?
We all know the honor of the barmaid of an inn. I don't intend to rob her, take my word for it. There's nothing in this house I shan't honestly pay for.
But I believe this girl has virtue.
And if she has, I should be the last man in the world that would attempt to corrupt it.
You have taken care, I hope, of the casket I sent you. It's locked up, it's in safety.
Yes, it's safe enough. I've taken care of it. But how could you think the seat of a postcoach at an inn door a place of safety? Numbskull. I have taken better precautions for you than you did for yourself. I have...
What?
I've sent it to the landlady to keep for you.
To the landlady?
The landlady.
You did?
I did. She's to be answerable for its forthcoming, you know.
Yes! She'll bring it forth with a witness.
Wasn't I right? I believe you'll allow that I acted prudently upon this occasion.
He must not see my uneasiness.
You seem a little disconcerted, though, methinks. Sure nothing has happened?
No, not at all. I've never been in better spirits in all my life. And so you have left it with the landlady, and I'm sure she very readily took the charge.
Rather too readily. For she not only kept the casket, but through her great precaution was going to keep the messenger, too.
Oh, but it's safe, however.
As a guinea in a miser's purse.
So now all my hopes of fortune have come to an end, and we must set off without it. Well, I'll leave you to your meditations on the landlady, and may you be as successful for yourself as you have been for me.
Thank you, George. I ask no more.
I find I no longer know my own house. It's all turned topsy-turvy. His servants have got drunk already. I'll bear it no longer. And yet, from my respect for his father, I'll be calm. Mr. Marlowe, your very humble servant. I am your very humble servant.
Sir, your humble servant. What's to be the wonder now?
I hope, sir, you must be sensible, sir, that no man ought to be more welcome than your father's son, sir. I hope you think so.
I do from my soul, sir. I don't want much entreaty. I generally make my father's son welcome wherever he goes.
I believe you do from my soul, sir. But though I say nothing to your own conduct, that of your servants is insufferable. Their manner of drinking is setting a very bad example in this house, sir, I assure you.
I protest, my very good sir, that's no fault of mine. If they don't drink as they ought, they are to blame. I ordered them not to spare the cellar. I did, I assure you. Here, let one of my servants come up. My positive directions were that as I did not drink myself, they should make up for my deficiencies below.
So they had your orders for what they do. I'm satisfied.
They had, I assure you. You shall hear from one of themselves. You, Jeremy, come forward, sirrah.
I begin to lose my patience.
What were my orders? Were you not told to drink freely and call for what you thought fit for the good of the house?
Please, Your Honor. Liberty and Fleet Street forever! Though I'm but a servant, I'm as good as any other man. Good liquor will sit upon a good supper, but a good supper will not sit upon my conscience, sir.
You see, my old friend? The fellow's as drunk as he can possibly be. I don't know what you'd have more. Unless you'd have the poor devil soused in a beer barrel.
Sounds! He'll drive me distracted if I contain myself any longer. Mr. Marlowe, I have submitted to your insolence for more than 4 hours, and I see no likelihood of its coming to an end. I'm now resolved to be master here, sir, and I desire that you and your drunken pack may leave my house directly.
Leave your house? Sure you jest, my good friend. What when I'm doing what I can to please you?
I tell you, sir, you don't please me, so I desire that you'll leave my house.
Sure you cannot be serious. At this time of night, and such a night? You only mean to banter me.
I tell you, sir, I am serious. And now that my passions are aroused, I say this house is mine, sir. This house is mine. And I command you to leave it directly.
A puddle in a storm. I shan't stir a step, I assure you. This your house, fellow? This is my house. It's my house, mine, while I choose to stay. What right have you to bid me leave this house, sir? I never met with such impudence, curse me, never in my whole life before.
Nor I, confound me if ever I did. To come to my house, to call for what he likes, to turn me out of my own chair, to insult the family, to order his servants to get drunk, and then to say this house is mine, sir? By all that's impudent, it makes me laugh. Pray, sir, as you take the house, what think you of taking the rest of the furniture? There's a pair of suede chairs, and there's a fire grate, and there's a pair of tapestries. Perhaps you may take a fancy to them.
Bring me your bill, sir. Bring me your bill, and let's make no more words about it.
There's a set of prints, too! What think you of the rate's progress for your own apartment?
Bring me your bill, I say, and I'll leave you in your infernal house directly.
And here's a polished table that you may see your face in!
My bill, I say!
I had forgot the great chair for your own particular slumbers after a hearty meal.
Zounds! Bring me your bill, and let's make no more of it.
Young man! Young man! From your father's letter to me, I was taught to expect a well-bred, modest gentleman as a visitor here today, but now I find he's no more than a coxcomb and a bully! But he shall be down here presently, and shall hear more of it.
How's this? Sure, I have not mistaken the house. Everything looks like an inn. The servants cry, "Coming!" The attendance is awkward. The barmaid, too, to attend us. But she's here, and will further inform me. Whither so fast? A word with you.
Let it be short, then. I'm in a hurry. I believe he begins to find out his mistake, but it's too soon yet to undeceive him.
Pray, answer me one question. What are you, and what may your business in this house be?
A relation of the family, sir.
What, a poor relation?
Yes, sir. A poor relation appointed to keep the keys and see that the guests want nothing in my power to give them.
That is, you act as the barmaid of this inn.
Inn? Oh, Lord, put that in your head. One of the best families in the county to keep an inn. Oh, Mr. Hardcastle's house, an inn.
Mr. Hardcastle's house? Is this house Mr. Hardcastle's house?
Sure, whose else should it be?
Something all's out! And I have been damnably imposed on. Oh, confound my stupid head! I shall be laughed at over the whole town. I shall be stuck up in caricature in all the print shops. Delissimo macaroni! To mistake this house, of all others, for an inn, and my father's old friend for an innkeeper! What a swaggering puppy must he take me for! What a silly puppy do I find myself! There again, may I be hanged, my dear, but I mistook you for the barmaid.
Dear me! Dear me, I'm sure there's nothing in my behavior to put me on a level with one of that stamp.
Nothing, my dear, nothing, but I was in for a list of blunders. Could not help making you a subscriber. My stupidity saw everything the wrong way. I mistook your assiduity for assurance and your simplicity for allurement. But it's over. This house I no more show my face in.
I hope, sir, I've done nothing to disoblige you. I'm sure I should be sorry to affront any gentleman who's been so polite and said so many civil things to me. I'm sure I should be sorry if people said anything amiss. I'm sure I should be sorry if he left the family on my account, as I have no fortune but my character.
By heaven, she weeps. It's the first mark of tenderness I ever had from a modest woman. And it touches me. Excuse me, my lovely girl. You are the only part of the family I leave with reluctance. But to be plain with you, the difference of our birth, fortune, and education makes an honorable connection impossible. And I could never harbor a thought of seducing simplicity that trusted in my honor, nor bringing ruin upon one whose only fault was being too lovely.
Generous man. I now begin to admire him. But I'm sure my family's as good as Miss Hardcastle's, and though I'm poor, that's no great misfortune to a contented mind, and until this moment I never thought that it was bad to want fortune.
And why now, my pretty simplicity?
Because it puts me at a distance from one that if I had £1,000, I would give it all to.
This simplicity bewitches me. So if I stay, I'm undone. I must make one bold effort and leave her. Your partiality in my favor, my dear, touches me most sensibly, and were I to live for myself alone, I could easily fix my choice. But I owe too much to the opinion of the world, too much to the authority of a father, that I can scarcely speak it. It affects me. Farewell.
never knew half his merit till now. He shall not go. If I to detain him, preserve the character in which I stoop to laugh him out of his resolution.
You may steal for yourselves the next time. I've done all that I can, and you can't say that I haven't. I've gotten you horses that run fast as Whistlejacket, and you can't but say that I haven't courted you nicely in front of her.
Oh, certainly you won't forsake us in this distress. If she for a moment suspects that I am going off, then, I will certainly be locked up or sent to Aunt Pedigree's, which is 10 times worse.
To be sure, aunts of all kinds are damned bad things, but I told you I've done all that I can. Oh, here she comes. I'm afraid we must court a bit or two more, for fear she should suspect us.
Well, I was greatly fluttered, to be sure, but my son assured me it was all a mistake of the servants. I won't be easy to until they're properly married, and then she can keep the jewels for all I care. But what's this I see? Flirting together! Oh, as my eyes see! Oh, Tony has never looked so sprightly before. Oh, he looks like his father, dear Mr. Lumpkin, I'm sure. I've caught you, my pretties! Oh, you exchanging such broken murmurs and exchanging stolen glances. Ah!
As for murmurs, mother, we grumble a bit or two now and then, but surely there's no love lost between us.
A mere sprinkling Tony on the flame to make it burn brighter.
Cousin Tony promises to give us more of his company here in town. Indeed, he won't leave us anymore. It won't leave us, Cousin Tony, will it?
Oh, it is a pretty thing. I would sooner leave my horses in a pond than leave your smiling face. Oh, your laughter is so becoming.
Oh, agreeable cousin! Who can help but admire that natural humor, that pleasant, bold, red, thoughtless, it's a bold face!
How pretty innocence!
Surely I have always loved Cousin Con's hazel eyes and her long, twisty fingers that traipse about the harpsichord like parcels of bobbins.
He would charm the bird from the tree, he would. He takes after his dear father, Mr. Lumpkin, to a T. Oh, my dear Constance, you may have your jewels. As soon as we have them, we will have them for sure. And you two shall be married tomorrow, first thing in the morning, and we will put off the rest of his education, like Dr. Drowsy's sermons, to a fitter opportunity.
Where's the squire? I've got a letter for your worship.
Oh, well, give it to Mama. She reads all of my letters first.
I had orders to put it into your own hands.
Well, who is it from?
Your worship can ask that of the letter itself.
Well, I could but inquire to know.
Oh, undone! A letter to him from Hastings, I know the hand. Oh, if she sees it, then we are ruined forever. I will try to keep her occupied for a little while. But, madam, I did not tell you of the smart answer that my cousin gave to Mr. Marlowe just now. Oh, how we laughed. Up this way a little bit so he cannot hear us.
How odd. I cannot read this. A damned cramped piece of penmanship as ever I saw. Dear sir. Aye, that is that. But whether the next is in S, a T, an izzard, or a... Oh, damn this. How odd. I can read the outside just fine, but the inside is all buzz. And the inside is always the cream of the correspondence.
Very well, very well. And so my son was too hard for the philosopher.
Oh, yes, madam. But you must hear the rest. This way a little bit so he cannot hear us. You'll hear how we puzzled him again.
But he looks puzzled now, methinks.
Oh, no.
To one Anthony Lumpkin, Esquire. That's me. But how am I to know what it says? Oh, confound it, I cannot read it!
What's that, my dear? Can I give you some assistance?
Pray, madam, let me read it. No one reads a cramp hand better than I. Do you know who it's from?
Can't tell but Dick Ginger the feeder.
Aye, so it is. Dear Squire, I hope that you are in health as I am at this moment. The gentleman of the Shake Bag Club has cut the gentleman of Goose Green quite out of feather. The odds fighting, oh, it's all about cocks and fighting. It is of no consequence. Here, put it up, put it up.
Miss, this is of all the consequence in the world. Mama, do you make it out? Of no consequence.
How's this? Let's see. Dear Squire, I'm now waiting for Miss Neville with a post-chastened pair at the bottom of the garden. But I find my horses yet unable to perform the journey. I expect you'll assist us with a pair of fresh horses as you promised. Dispatch is necessary, as the hag, your mother, will otherwise suspect us, yours Hastings. Grant me patience, I run distracted. My rage chokes me!
I hope, madam, that you will suspend your resentment for just a moment and not impute to me any sinister desire that may belong to another.
Yours, madam, is the very pink of courtesy and circumspection. You are very polite and engaging. As for you, you ill-fashioned oaf, were you so spired against me? But no matter. I will defeat all your plots in a moment. As for you, since you have such a fresh pair of horses ready, it would be wrong to disappoint them. But instead of playing off with your spark, no, you shall run off with me. And you, grab your horses, you will attend us on the journey. Roger, get my things. I hope you will both wish yourself better than I do for you.
So now I'm completely ruined.
That's a sure thing.
But what better could be expected after being connected to such a stupid fool? And after all the nods and signs I gave him!
By the laws, miss, it was your cleverness and not my stupidity that did your business. Oh, you were so busy with your shake bags and goose scripts.
I find by my servant that you have shown my letter and betrayed us. Was this well done, young gentleman?
Aye, here's another. You might ask Miss there who betrayed you, for it was her doing, not mine.
So, I have been finely used here among you all, rendered contemptible, driven into ill manners, despised, insulted, laughed at.
Aye, here's another. Old Bedlam is to break loose presently.
And here, gentlemen, is the one to whom we owe every obligation.
What can I say to him? A mere boy, an idiot, whose ignorance and age are protection.
A poor contemptible booby that would but disgrace correction.
Yet, with cunning and malice enough to make himself merry with all our embarrassment.
An insensible cub.
Replete with tricks and mischief.
Oh, damn! I'll fight all of you with baskets.
As for him, he's below resentment. But your conduct, Mr. Hastings, requires an explanation. You knew of my mistakes, yet would not undeceive me?
Tortured as I am with my own disappointments, is this a time for explanations, Mr. Marlowe? It isn't friendly.
But, sir!
Mr. Marlowe, we never kept you in your deception until it was too late to undeceive you. Be pacified.
My mistress desires you'll get ready immediately, madam. The horses are putting to. Your hat and things are in the next room. We are to go 30 miles before morning.
Well, I'll come presently.
Was it well done, sir, to assist in rendering me ridiculous? To hang me out for the scorn of all my acquaintance? Depend upon it, sir, I shall expect an explanation.
Well, was it well done, sir, while you were upon that subject, to deliver what I entrusted to you, to the care of another, sir?
Mr. Hastings, Mr. Marlowe, will you increase my distress with this groundless dispute? Oh, I entreat you, I implore you.
Your cloak, madam.
I come, pray, be pacified. If I leave you thus, I shall die from apprehension.
The horses are waiting.
Mr. Marlowe, if you know what scene of constraint and ill nature lies before me, I am sure that your resentment will turn to pity.
I'm so distracted with a variety of passions that I don't know what I do. Forgive me, Madam, George. Forgive me. You know my hasty temper and should not exasperate it.
Torture of my situation is my only excuse.
Well, my dear Hastings, if you have that esteem for me that I think, that I know you have, then 2 or 3 years' patience will but increase the happiness of our future connection.
Constance! Neville! Constance!
I'm coming! Oh, constancy. Remember the word. Constancy.
My heart! How can I support this? To be so near happiness. And such happiness.
You see, young gentleman? The effects of your folly. What might be amusement to you is here disappointment and even distress.
But I have hit it. Yes, sir. Good sir, your hands. And yours, my poor sulky, your hands. Come, if you be so desired, meet me 2 hours hence, in the garden, and if I, Tony Lumpkin, and not a more good-natured fellow, then you might have Bet Bouncer, and my horses. And my horses. They shall be in the bargain too. Yes. Come. My boots, ho.
So you have seen Miss Neville and the old lady leave, you say?
Yes, they went off in a post coach, and the young squire went on horseback. They're 30 miles off by this time.
Then all my hopes are lost.
Yes, sir. Old Sir Charles has arrived. He and the old gentleman of the house have been laughing at Mr. Marlowe's mistake this half hour. They're coming this way.
Then I must not be seen. Not on my fruitless appointment at the bottom of the garden. This is about the time.
The peremptory tone with which he sent forth his sublime commands.
And the reserve with which I suppose he must have treated all your advances.
And yet, he might have seen something in me above a common innkeeper, too.
Why, Richard, he mistook you for an uncommon innkeeper.
Well, I'm in too good spirits to think of anything but joy. Yes, my dear friend, this union of our families will make our personal friendships hereditary. And though my daughter's fortune is but small...
Oh, why, Richard, will you talk of fortune to me? My son is possessed with more than a competence already, and can want for nothing more than a good and virtuous girl to share in his happiness and increase it. If they like each other as you say they do.
If, man, I tell you they do like each other. My daughter as good as told me so.
Well, girls are apt to flatter themselves, you know.
I saw him grasp her hand in the warmest manner myself. And here he comes now, to put you out of your ifs, I warrant him.
I come, sir, once more to ask pardon for my strange conduct. I can scarce reflect on my insolence without confusion.
Tut boy, 'tis but a trifle. You take it too gravely. An hour or two's laughing with my daughter will put all to rights again.
Sir, I shall be always proud of her approbation.
Approbation is but a cold word, Mr. Marlowe. If I'm not deceived, you have something more than approbation thereabouts. You take me?
Really, sir, I have not that happiness.
Come, boy. I'm an old fellow, and know what's what as well as you that are younger. I know what has passed between you, but... Mom.
Sure, sir, nothing has passed between us but the most profound respect on my side and the most distant reserve on hers. You don't think, sir, that my impudence has been passed upon all the rest of the family?
Impudence? No, I don't say impudence. Not quite impudence, though girls like to be teased and rumpled a little too sometimes, but she has told no tales, I assure you.
I never gave her the slightest cause.
Well, I like modesty in its place well enough, young gentleman, but this is overacting. You may be open with us. Your father and I will like you the better for it.
May I die, sir, if I ever...
I tell you, the girl don't dislike you, and as I'm sure you like her...
Dear sir, I protest, sir.
I see no reason why you should not be joined as soon as the parson can tie you.
But hear me, sir!
Your father approves of the match. I admire it. Every moment's delay is only doing mischief.
But why won't you hear me? By all that's just and true, I never gave Miss Hardcastle the slightest mark of my attachment, or even the most distant hint to suspect me of affection. We had but one interview, and that was formal, modest, and uninteresting.
This fellow's formal, modest impudence is beyond bearing.
And you never grasped her hand or made any other protestations?
As heaven is my witness, I came down in obedience to your commands. I saw the lady without emotion and parted without reluctance. I hope you'll exact no further proofs of my duty, nor prevent me from leaving a house in which I suffer so many mortifications.
Well, I'm astonished at the air of sincerity with which he parted.
And I'm astonished at the deliberate intrepidity of his assurance.
I dare pledge my life and honor upon his truth.
Here comes my daughter, and I would stake my very happiness on her veracity. Come hither, Kate. Answer us sincerely and without reserve. Has Mr. Marlowe made you any professions of love and affection?
The question is very abrupt, sir, but since you require unreserved sincerity, yes, I believe he has.
You see?
And pray, madam, have you and my son had more than one interview?
Yes, sir, several.
You see?
But did he profess any attachment?
A lasting one.
Did he talk of love?
Much, sir.
Amazing! And all of this formally?
Formally.
Now, my friend, I hope you're satisfied.
And how did he behave, madam?
As most professed admirers do. Said some civil things of my face, talked much of his want of merit and the greatness of mine, mentioned his heart, gave a short tragedy speech, and ended with pretended rapture.
Now I'm perfectly convinced indeed. I know my son's talk among women to be modest and submissive. This forward, canting, ranting manner by no means describes him, and I'm convinced he never sat for the picture.
What then if I could convince you to your face of my sincerity? If you and my papa in about half an hour will place yourself behind there, you will hear him declare his passion to me in person.
Agreed. And if I find in him what you describe, all my happiness in him must have an end.
If he is not what I describe, I fear my happiness must never have a beginning.
What an idiot am I! To wait here for a fellow who probably takes a delight in mortifying me. He never intended to be punctual, and I'll wait no longer. What is this I see? It is he, and perhaps with news of my Constance. My dear squire, I see that you're a man of your word. This must mean friendship.
Oh, I'm your friend, and your best friend, if only you knew. This riding by night, by the by, has gotten me more shaken than the basket in the stagecoach.
But how? Where have you left your fellow travelers? Are they housed? Are they in safety?
25 miles in 2.5 hours is quite the feat. But let me tell you, I would rather ride 10 miles after a fox than 40 with those vermin.
Where have you left the ladies? I die with impatience.
Left them? Why, where should I leave them but where I found them?
This is a riddle.
Oh, well, riddle me this, then. What's that goes round the house, and round the house, and round the house again, but never touches the house?
I'm still astray.
Oh, why, that's it, man. By jingo, I've led them astray.
I see. You have led them in a round while they suppose themselves going forward, and so you have brought them home again.
Oh, sir, you shall hear. First, I took them around a quick bend, and then we went straight down Featherbed Lane, where we quick hit rocks and the cart went flying. And then we went around and about, and then they stuck fast in the mud, where we were jolted to a jelly.
But no accident, I hope.
Oh, only Mother is confoundedly frightened. Yes, she's very tired of the journey, as are the cattle. So if your horses be ready, you might go whip off cousin.
My dear friend, I'm obliged to you.
Oh, now it is dear friend, noble squire. But just then it was all idiot, cub, run me through the guts. Oh, if we'd had your way, we might go take a knock in one part of the country, and then kiss and be friends. But then you might go run me through the guts, and I'd be dead, and you might go kiss the hangman.
The rebuke is just. But now I must hasten to go relieve Miss Devil. If you'll take care of the older lady, I'll take care of the younger one.
Go, be off, for here comes Mother, all rattled and muddy to the waist, like a mermaid.
Oh, Tony! I'm shook, killed, battered to death. I shall never survive it. That last jolt that we took has done my business.
Alack, Mama! It was all your own fault. For if we'd had your way, we would be riding and walking through the night without knowing a step of the way.
I wish we were home again. I never met so many accidents in such a short journey. Oh, drenched in the mud, overturned in a ditch, turned over again, and jolted to a jelly, and now to have lost our way. Whereabouts do you think we are, Tony?
I say we are 40 miles from home. Yes, near Crackskull Common.
Oh, the most notorious spot in the whole country. We'll only want a robbery to make the night of it.
Oh, Mama, don't be afraid, for 2 of the robbers are already hung, and the other 3, well, we might as well hope they don't find us. But what's that I hear? Galloping? Behind us? Oh, it's only a tree. Don't be afraid, Mama. Don't be afraid.
The fright will certainly kill me.
What's that I see there? A black hat hiding behind that thicket.
Oh, the death!
Oh, it was only a cow. Don't be afraid, Mama. Don't be afraid.
But, Tony, what's that? It's a man coming toward us. Oh, if he sees us, we shall be ruined.
Father-in-law, out on one of his night walks. Oh, it's a bandit! With pistols as long as my arm! Oh, a damned ill-looking fellow!
Oh, good heaven, defend us!
Oh, Mama, I have an idea. Yes, go, hide there beyond that thicket, and I shall cough and cry, "Hem!" And when I do so, I am in danger, and you are not to move. Do you hear me? Go there, beyond that thicket.
I'm mistaken, or I heard voices of people in want of help. Oh, Tony, is that you? I did not expect you so soon back. Tell me, are your mother and her charge in safety?
Oh, yes, they are kept very safe at Aunt Pedigree's. Ahem!
Oh, I find there's danger.
40 miles in 3 hours, that's too much for sure, my youngster.
Oh, well, stout horses and willing minds make swift journeys, as they say. Ahem!
Sure, he'll do my boy no harm.
But I hear a voice there and should like to know from whence it came.
Oh, it was just me talking to myself. Ahem! Oh, it seems that I have caught some kind of, ahem, sickness from being out in the air. Ahem!
But if you talked to yourself, you did not answer yourself. I'm certain I heard 2 voices and am determined to find the other out.
He's going to find me out.
Ahem! No, sir, why do not move, for ahem! I have laid down my life for the truth. Ahem!
I'll not be detained, I tell you. I insist on seeing. It's in vain to expect I'll believe you.
Oh, he'll murder my poor boy, he will. Please, sir, stop! Don't! Please take our money, our goods, everything, but please spare my child! Spare my boy!
My wife! As I'm a Christian. But where did she come from, or what can she mean?
Take compassion on us, good Mr. Highwayman. Take our money, our watches. We'll never bring you to justice. Never, please. Dear Mr. Highwayman.
I believe the woman's out of her wits. What, Dorothy? Don't you know me?
Mr. Hardcastle? What are you doing in this far part of the country? Why did you follow us here?
Sure, Dorothy, you have not lost your wits. Far part of the country when you are but within 40 yards of your own door. This is one of your old tricks, you rascal, you. Dorothy, don't you know the gate? And the mulberry tree? And don't you remember the horse pond, my dear?
Yes, I'll remember that horse pond for as long as I live, for I nearly caught my death in it. Is it to you, ungrateful boy, that I am to owe all of this? Why would you do this to your mother so?
Mama, you might ask the parish how you've spoiled me so, and now you shall bear the fruits of it.
Oh, I'll spoil you, I will.
There's morality, however, in his reply.
Constance, if we delay a moment longer, all will be lost forever. Pluck up a little resolution and we'll soon be out of reach of her malignity.
I find it impossible. My spirits are so sunk with the agitations I've suffered that I cannot face any new danger. Oh, just 2 or 3 years' patience will finally crown us with happiness.
Such a tedious delay is worse than inconstancy. Let us fly, my charmer. Let us date our happiness. Perish fortune. Love and content will increase our possessions beyond a monarch's revenue. Let me prevail.
No, Mr. Hastings. No. Prudence has once more come to my relief, and I will obey its dictates. In a moment of passion, fortune may be despised, but it ever produces a lasting repentance. I am resolved to rely on Mr. Hardcastle for his compassion and justice for redress.
He has the will, but not the power to relieve you.
But he has influence, and on that I am resolved to rely.
I have no hopes, but since you insist, I must reluctantly obey you.
What a situation am I in? If what you says be true, then I shall find a guilty son. And if what he says be true, then I shall lose one that, of all others, I most wished for a daughter.
I am proud of your approbation, sir, and to show that I merit it, if you place yourself as I directed, you will hear his explicit declaration. But he comes.
I'll to your father and keep him to the appointment.
Though prepared for setting out, I've come once more to take leave. Nor did I till this moment know the pain I feel in the separation.
Those sufferings, sir, cannot be very great which you could so easily remove. A day or 2 more, perhaps, might lessen your uneasiness and show the little value of what you think proper to regret.
This girl every moment improves upon me. It must not be, madam. I've already trifled too long with my heart. My very pride begins to submit to my passion. The disparity of education and fortune, the anger of a parent, and the contempt of my equals begin to lose their weight, and nothing can restore me to myself but this painful effort of resolution.
Then go. I'll urge nothing more to detain you. Though my family be as good as hers you came down to visit, and my education, I hope, not inferior, what are these advantages without equal affluence? I must have only the slight approbation of imputed merit. I must have only the mockery of your addresses, while all your serious aims are fixed on fortune.
Aye, aye. make no noise. I'll engage my Kate covers him with confusion at last.
By heavens, Madam, fortune was ever my smallest consideration. Your beauty at first caught my eye, for who could see that without emotion? But every moment I converse with you steals in some new grace, heightens the picture, gives it stronger expression. What at first seemed rustic plainness now appears refined simplicity. What seemed forward assurance now strikes me as the result of courageous innocence and conscious virtue.
What can it mean? It amazes me.
I told you how it would be. Hush!
I am now determined to stay, madam, and I have too good an opinion of my father's discernment when he sees you to doubt his approbation.
No, Mr. Marlowe, I cannot detain you. Do you think I could suffer a connection in which there is the smallest room for repentance? Do you think I could take at the mean advantage of a transient passion to load you with confusion? Do you think I could ever relish in that happiness which was acquired by lessening yours?
By all that's good, madam, I can have no happiness but what's in your power to grant me. Nor shall I ever feel repentance but in not having seen your merits before. I will stay even contrary to your wishes. And though you should persist to shun me, I will make my respectful assiduities atone for the levity of my past conduct.
I must entreat, sir, you'll desist. And as our acquaintance began, so let it end, in indifference. Do you think I could submit to a connection in which I must appear mercenary and you imprudent? Do you think I could ever cap at the confident addresses of a secure admirer?
I can hold it in no longer. Charles! Charles! How hast thou deceived me? Is this your indifference? Your uninteresting conversation?
Your cold contempt, your formal interview. What have you to say for yourself?
That I'm all amazement. What can it mean?
It means that you can say and unsay things at pleasure, that you can address a lady in private and deny it in public, that you have one story for us and another for my daughter.
Daughter? This lady, your daughter?
Yes, sir. My only daughter. My Kate. Whose else should she be?
Oh, the devil!
Sir, that very identical, tall, squinting woman you were pleased to take me for, she that you addressed as the mild, modest, sentimental man of gravity, and as the bold, forward, agreeable rattle of the ladies' club.
Sounds, there's no bearing this. It's worse than death.
In which of your characters, sir, will you give us leave to address you? As the faltering gentleman with looks fixed on the ground who speaks only to be heard and hates hypocrisy? Or as the loud, confident creature that's up all night with Mrs. Mantrap and old Miss Biddy Buckskin till 3 a.m?
Oh, curse on my noisy head. I never attempted to be impudent yet. I was not taken down. I must be gone.
By the hand of my body, but you shall not. I see it was a mistake, and I'm rejoiced to find it. I tell you, sir, you shall not. I know she'll forgive you. Won't you forgive him, Kate? We'll all forgive you. Take courage, man.
So, they're gone off. I don't care.
Who gone?
My dutiful niece and her suitor, Mr. Hastings, who came with our modest visitor over here.
Who, my honest George Hastings? As worthy a fellow that lives. The girl could not have made a more prudent choice.
Then by the hand of my body, I'm proud of the connection.
Well, if he has taken the lady away, he has not taken her fortune. We have that left to console the family.
Sure, Dorothy, you cannot be so mercenary.
That's my affair, not yours.
But if your son, when of age, refuses to marry his cousin, then her fortune will then be at her own disposal.
Aye, but he's not of age, and he has not thought it fit to wait for her refusal. Ah, but look who comes. I begin not to like this.
For my recent attempt to fly off with your niece, let my present confusion be my punishment. For we have come to appeal from your justice to your humanity. By her father's consent, I first paid her my addresses, and our passions were first founded on duty.
Since his death, I've been obliged to stoop to dissimulation to avoid oppression. In an hour of levity, I was ready even to give up my fortune to secure my choice. But I have since awoken from the delusion, and I hope by your tenderness what is denied me from a closer relation.
This is all the winding into a modern novel.
Be it what it will, I'm glad they're come to reclaim their due. Tony, come here. Do you refuse this lady's hand whom I offer to you now?
What signifies my refusing? You know I cannot refuse her until I'm of age, father.
Yes, well, while concealing your age, while I thought that would be conducive to your improvement, I concurred with your mother's wishes to keep it secret. But since I find she turns it to a wrong use, I must announce that you have been of age these last 3 months.
Of age? Father, am I of age?
Above 3 months.
I am of age! Well, you shall see the first liberty I take with my being of age. Yes, I, Anthony Lumpkin of the Overlook, hereby refuse Constantia Neville, spinster of no place at all, to be my unlawful, undutiful, unloving wife. Therefore, Constance Neville may marry whomever she pleases, and Tony Lumpkin is a free man.
Oh, brave squire.
My worthy
Dutiful offspring.
joy, George. My dear George, I give you joy sincerely. And could I prevail upon my little tyrant here to be less arbitrary, I should be the happiest man alive if you would return me the favor.
My dear madam, you've come to the last scene of all your contrivances. I know you like him, and I'm sure he loves you, and you must and shall have him.
And I say so too. And Mr. Marlowe, if she makes as good a wife as she has a daughter, I don't believe you'll ever regret your bargain. So now to supper! For tomorrow we gather all the poor of the parish about us, and the mistakes of the night shall be crowned with a merry morning. So, boy, take her. And as you have been mistaken in the mistress, my hope is that you shall never be mistaken in the wife.
To give romance a whirl, then I break the chains of common sense. Say, baby, won't you be my girl? Won't you meet me at the Friday dance and give romance a whirl? Let's take a chance, our happiness sake. Baby, won't you be my girl? Well, I've been waiting, anticipating, feel my foolish heart palpitating. Me and you coming true, that's a reason for celebrating. Do do do